Hi everyone and welcome along to the Friday Quick Fix. Today we're going to paint a bird that I'm sure many of you see out and about, especially when the weather's nice, possibly stealing your ice creams or whatever. We're going to paint some seagulls today. Now Ant always tells me that the word seagull isn't actually a thing. You call them gulls, so forgive me if I flip between the two, but grab your paints and let's get started. So how to draw a bird, a gull, seagull, herring gull, whatever. I start with, we're going to do ones in flight. I'm going to start with a big oval, just sort of tilted up to the side a little bit. And if you imagine, it's going to be a bird that's sort of got its wings outstretched. So what we're looking for is this kind of point, this crossover where the wings meet the shoulders. And actually I sort of want it to come up a bit more like that, yeah. The wingspan is huge, so yeah, don't scrimp on that. And then there's a sort of bit of a curve and this sense of the sort of outreach. This point is very important. This is sort of where the feathers start to sort of curve that way. And from that point they sort of curve more into the body. But we're still just looking at how we're drawing them. So we've got our wings. Now we're going to use, this is the neck, and actually one thing I think a lot of people make a mistake with is having the head sort of protrude from the body more than they need to. I mean, we'll do a little one where the bird is sort of almost looking down at us a little bit. That's quite a challenging one to do, so that's quite good. And then we'll just get this up and get the tail feather out. So you follow that line down, fan it out, the feet will be tucked up in there, and that one's sort of looking down at us. It looks a bit strange at this point, but when we paint it in, it'll all start to make a bit more sense, and the wing's just going to come down a little bit more like that. So we'll do a smaller one up here. Little oval. This time we'll just have him sort of looking down on us that way. So the wings, get that line down. It's funny, whenever I draw these, I'm like, these wings look so stupid, and then as soon as you put the paint in, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's right, isn't it? And one at the top, just a little one. What we're going to do is we're going to mask these in with masking fluid. This masking fluid had a bit of an accident. I left it not 100% closed in my bag when I was doing some painting out and about, so it's a little bit messed up. But Yeah, now the lid's all glued. So I'm just going to have to fix this, but get your drawings done. Give them a little light rubbing out so the pencil isn't too heavy, and then we're going to mask them. So I have a special slightly rough brush put aside purposely to use for masking fluid. And the thing is it actually does a really good job in however much detail I need. I have a few different sizes, admittedly, but it gets the job done. So we'll just get this filled in, and then we can paint a beautiful blue sky to have these birds flying against. So the masking fluid is dried, it's nice and tacky, and I'm going to paint a lovely blue sky over the top. Just cobalt blue deep, and I really like the idea of just painting this really simply. Just like that. So we just need that to dry 100%, peel off the masking fluid and paint our seagulls. Once the masking, once the wash is dried, you can peel off the masking fluid. I quite like doing it with an eraser to start off with, rather than just my finger, because sometimes some paints sort of seem to smudge when I use my finger. The green paint mainly. So I just like using an eraser. There we go. So we've got some lovely free seagulls flying. So in my palette, I had cobalt blue deep there. I just added some burnt sienna. It's made a great grey. I've got Moonglow, ivory black and Paynes Grey. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start turning these birds into sort of more 3D shapes by adding shadow to them. So we've got the underside of the bird, haven't we? So we're going to see a lot of the shadow, a lot of the grey. But also, I mean, these birds do have actual sort of grey markings underneath them, but so at this point we're just doing some very sort of limited, simple grey under the body. So let's go for this one. So we'll do a little sweep under the body there, and then that's going to sort of spread more into the body as the sort of shadow of the wing comes across. So like that. And then the wing itself, it feels like just the very edge of the back of the wing catches the light. So this is all using the cobalt blue burnt sienna mix, which is looking really nice. And I think it's giving them really nice shape. So last one, start with that sweep under the body. And then extend that into that middle sort of point like that. Find the wing, and as it hits the body, that shadow just travels down around the curve of the body. and just the back edge just catches the light. Will I have enough? Just about, maybe. And we'll let this dry. That's the joy of doing 3, is by the time we finish this one, the top one will be dry. But you can see how that's turned them from flat birds into 3D images. Okay, so we need some much darker colour. If I get a bit of ivory black and Paynes Grey combined, that makes a really nice inky black. And we'll just catch the tips of the wings. And because this colour is so dark, you can also use it to sort of define the wing shape just a little bit more. And this one obviously is overlapping behind that one, so we can just carefully make sure we don't go too far. And then just with some nice faded colour, some dilute colour, we can just create a few of these wing lines. Now, I highly recommend that you get yourself a little photo if you want to put in a bit more detail. And remember that point there and there is this key sort of pivot point for the way the feathers fan out. So they're pivoting in there, curving in there. If your lines feel a bit heavy, just take a clean wet brush, soften them, smooth them out a bit. And finally, I once got much more up close and friendly with a seagull than I wished to when it flew at me and stole my my pastry out of my hand, which I was very upset about. And I'm afraid to say I was a grown-up. I didn't have the excuse of being like 5 or something. It was about 10 years ago. Not forgotten it. That's why it's taken all this time to finally forgive them and allow them to be painted on the channel. Okay, that's looking nice. And so we just need some little details for eyes and beak and things, so we'll just let everything dry. And whilst I do that, I can mix up a little bit of Cadmium Orange, also a bit of burnt sienna. I'm just going to mix those two together to make a slightly darker. We'll get it over here. Here we go. Orange, burnt sienna, and I think a bit of Moonglow actually, just to darken it down a bit. That makes a nice brown actually. And we can get the feet just kind of tucked in there. Maybe it needs a little bit more orange. The beak you can barely sort of see as it, you can't really sort of tell it's a nice orangey beak or anything. It's in too much shadow. But as long as we get the shape of it. Now this one here, I've sort of changed the shape of the head a little bit. There we go. And then a tiny beady eye, eyeing up your ice cream, ready to swoop. And there we have some quick fix seagulls for you. So I hope you enjoy this little bit of summer painting, and I hope no seagull gets too close to capture any food of yours. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!